My name is Yvonne Booker.
My name is Lance Olinsky.
My name is Rick Crocker.
I'm Todd Mark.
I am a community advocate and also in the process of developing the Empowerment Onyx.
And I'm the founder of Streetside Showers.
I'm with the Samaritan Inn in McKinney, Texas. I'm the Chief Executive Officer.
Executive Director of Friends of Consumer Freedom, and proud to be on the board leadership of the Collin County Homeless Coalition.
I think it's probably pretty obvious what homelessness is. That is an individual or family who doesn't have shelter, appropriate shelter, to call as habitation.
Homelessness, what I would consider is a situation, and it's something that not really a personality trait of a person, it's a situation.
Families become homeless here in Collin for multiple different reasons. The bottom line is they don't have enough income to maintain the housing that they're currently in.
I think nothing is more important than having stability when it comes to a place to live. And whether that's a house, an apartment, a townhome, whether you're staying with friends or family, having a stable place to call home base, to go to from day to day, from night to night, is critical.
For several families, sometimes they find themselves experiencing homelessness because of a tragedy that has occurred, a loss of a loved one, or an actual fire in which they lose the home, it wasn't completely insured, and they don't really have that safety net necessary to help them to attain housing in a much quicker and a much more satisfying manner.
The individuals that we serve in our organization come from backgrounds just like yours and mine. Very much the kind of individual that you rub elbows with each and every day. Single moms, single dads, dual parent families, individuals who've just come off of some life crisis that has tipped them over the edge and over the precipice into homelessness.
And that's what happens. Sometimes people come across a hard time in their life and there's an obstacle they just can't get over. And you know, people, they lose a job or a death in the family or a severe illness. And that's also another way where folks experiencing homelessness wind up on the street because maybe there's an obstacle in their life that they just can't overcome.
When you find yourself having to work with families that are experiencing homelessness, the first thing we must do as professionals are to be good listeners because each individual's story is different.
One individual in particular comes to mind. I'll call him John. John had been a supporter of the Samaritan Inn for 20 years. And had appreciated the work that we did at the Samaritan Inn. He came upon a time in his life when there was a medical emergency that ultimately bankrupted him.
One gentleman, his name is Joe, you know, and Joe, he comes to our Irving stop, and so he's been one of our regulars, and Joe has just celebrated his 77th birthday. And you know, Joe's starting to get older, and I think just because of his situation, it's really hard for him.
So one of the ones that really sticks out to me was an individual that left his family. He left his family because the family was experiencing a tragedy. His mother became ill.
I worked with a family in Frisco who ended up having to desert their home, and all of their belongings, they were being foreclosed upon.
He lost his job, lost his marriage and family, and ultimately came through our doors. He was a perfect candidate for our program.
And it's sad, but you know, he came up to me one time and said, you know, he said, Lance, will you do a funeral for me because nobody else would come? And I said, absolutely, Joe. You know, we love you and we care for you. He comes and get a shower, and he struggles with multiple medical issues, but because of his situation and his health, it's hard for him to get any sustainable work or get any level of income that would allow him to have any housing.
And the relationship between the individual and his mother was very close. And he said very poignantly that he could not be with his family to see his mother go through the things that she was about to go through. So he just left.
They didn't act quick enough, and a $500,000 home with a little bit of equity and a lot of very expensive furniture put out on the street. It looked like an Ethan Allen sale on the side of the road, and you'd say, this is not the face of foreclosure, and yet it is. Anybody can lose their home, anybody can become homeless.
I think when you look at neighboring communities where it appears to be more evident, it appears to be more outward, it didn't start out that way. It was a gradual progression, and it just got to a point where it became such large numbers of individuals until it was just openly visual for anyone to see.
Back then, McKinney was just a small town. Now it's approaching 200,000 in population. And that's happening in all of the various municipalities across Collin County. And with that growth, there has been an increase in the number of individuals and families that are dealing with the crisis of homelessness.
In North Texas, speaking specifically of the folks that are experiencing homelessness, you know, those numbers are very fluid and they change. Just this last year, we provided over 3,700 showers to about 1,000 different unique individuals, what I call a unique person. And so some of them would be regulars that would be experiencing homelessness, and some may be just transient folks that are just passing through. And so this last year, we've seen over 1,000 people in North Texas that we have specifically helped here at Streetside Showers.
Last year, about 625 individuals went through our program. We are able to house 226 people in our facility. If every bed were full in our facility, in our family rooms and our single rooms. Typically, we have 175 to 180 individuals in residence at a time. The average stay is about 200 days, so it's not a short-term process, but really takes almost 6 to 9 months. And that again varies from individual to individual.
People think that because Collin County is affluent, that everybody has money and that homelessness or financial crisis doesn't exist here. And that, of course, is completely false.
When you think about those families that are experiencing homelessness, there are several stereotypes that naturally come to mind. One is this is an individual who has not been accountable to his or her own financial needs. It's an individual that may have some alcoholism or some drug abuse or some mental health issues. While some of that may be true, that is in no way near the majority. That is actually a small population of the minority.
Most people believe that crime or substance abuse represent the majority of the triggers that drive people into homelessness. In fact, those are some of the smaller sectors of triggers. Actually, family change, medical crisis, and lack of employment are the three main triggers that cause an individual to enter into a period of homelessness.
If I had a magic wand and I could wave that magic wand today to change something for our homeless neighbors, what would that be? I think really if I had that magic wand, I would put a roof over everybody's head. Because I've found that if we can get a roof over their head, if we can get them off the streets, then some of those other problems that maybe they're carrying, they can be fixed. But they can't be fixed if you don't have shelter over your head. And if I could wave a magic wand, I would put a shelter, a roof over every person's head.
Having a true shelter so we never have to worry about one person living under a bridge, living out in the woods, camping out at the library all day, bathing at their gymnasium in the morning, because they have nowhere else to do those things. Those are things that I wish we had that magic wand to make disappear. But instead of hoping for a magic wand, what we can all do is strive to achieve those things together.
5 years from now, if I had the opportunity and I had a genie in a bottle and I had a great wish, I would like to see housing available for all of those who desire it. As a community, we should provide housing opportunities for all income levels. It should be equally important for us as a community to provide housing for the physician or the pediatrician that our children go to, equally as important for the nurse that works for the pediatrician, equally important for the janitor that cleans the pediatrician office. Housing should be available for everyone. So if I had my druthers, that would be the community that we would live in, where everyone has access to housing equitably based on the income that they have. There's a housing option for them as well.
I guess if I would lay out any challenge, it would be for individuals really to take the time to educate themselves and just be more aware of what's happening around us. Unfortunately, I think with the busy and hectic schedules that most of us follow each and every day, we become insulated and unaware of the plight of many individuals that may be right in our own neighborhood. One of the issues today is not just those who are homeless, but those who are near homeless.
Everyone can do something. For us, we have a mobile shower service, so to buy a trailer could be very hard or very expensive. It's not something you may feel called to do, and that's okay. So what would you do is just show an act of kindness. When I talk to people all the time, they're like, what could I do? I said, what you could do is it's easy to get a gift card at a coffee shop for a cup of coffee. It's easy to get a gift card for, to go to a restaurant and get something to eat.
I oftentimes get asked, what do the homeless need? And certainly people with good hearts will talk about that they've got money at a moment's notice for somebody on the side of the road or at a highway exit, that they've got backpacks with blankets on cold nights. Then they may have a gift card that will help them buy toiletries or food, or that they'll take them shopping, which is all fine and good. It's just as important to say, how do we stop the cycle of homelessness?
Engage. I think the very first thing you can do is to educate yourself about any myths that you may have about individuals that are experiencing homelessness. They look exactly like I look when life happens and you don't have a safety net to catch you. So engage with the multiple level of organizations that are here in Collin that are doing some fantastic work. The second thing that you can do is, once you become educated, educate others. Use your spheres of influence, your circle of affluence, and really share with them, because I think it's together that we're going to make a difference. You can always go in and do some of the practical kinds of things in providing the goods and services that a lot of families experiencing homelessness need. I think that's always a good thing to do. But the bigger picture is they really want a place to live. So the more you can engage and be an advocate for creative housing solutions, the better you can do. And then of course support those agencies that are working very hard to support these families. Collin County has some phenomenal nonprofit organizations that are doing some absolutely phenomenal work. So really engage with them, volunteer, and then use your dollars wisely by investing in those organizations.